Welcome, my fellow wannabes. Welcome to another edition of the Wannabe Critic. I am one of your hosts, Gabriel Fast. Joining me today is one Mikey Collins and one Caleb Henley. Caleb Henley has the seniority in this group, and we are a motley crew. So there's that. Caleb, how you feeling, bro?
I mean, life's good. Can't think of anything too crazy or too bad that's happening. But,
your scenery has changed a little bit from last time.
Yeah,
last
so
time
I'm not doing this episode on my bathroom floor.
Yeah.
I'm actually in the living room. If I position my head just right, it can kind of look like I have antlers on, like a fawn or whatever that is.
Yeah.
From like
Narnia. Yeah, Narnia. Yeah, Mr. Tumnus.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love it. That's awesome. That's you look good. You sound good, and that's what I love to hear. Mikey Collins, you've gone to the dark side, my friend. How you feeling, bro?
Feeling pretty good. Pretty good.
What are you drinking
Nothing
there? What's
new.
in your glass?
It's kind of like a speedy old fashioned because we were starting the show fast. So I just literally took some simple syrup and poured it in some triple smoke Corsair and threw a cherry in it. It's
Nice.
delicious.
Very nice. Dude, I actually thought about you the other day. I was watching... Have you guys heard of this TikTok? Have you heard of TikTok? Have you heard of this?
It sounded like about 1,000 years old.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I need to turn on my light, too. I just realized. Maybe not.
Whoa.
Never mind. Whoa, wait. Hold on. Abort. Hold on. Here we go. Turn it down. There we go. That's nice. That's better.
There it is.
Okay, so I found these guys on TikTok, and they make a new cocktail like every single day. And what they do is they have a cutting board that they light on fire, and they will take their glass and put it over while the smoke is rising, and they're making their mixture in their shaker. They put the glass over the smoke, and it smokes the inside of the glass. And I was like, This seems like something Mikey would do, but I need to buy... Have you done
a
it?
Smoke gun that I smoke my glasses with before I put my whiskey in there.
Okay. So
You'll literally put some hickory wood chips in a little tray, light them on fire, and then a vacuum will suck the air and the smoke through it and go through a little tube. You can take your glass and flip it over and then put it down there, and it'll smoke your glass.
Does it make a difference?
I mean, yeah, because it makes the whole room smell like smoke. So then you're like, ooh, like when you have people over, it's kind of a cool thing to do.
It's a mystery.
But really, the way to do it is to put it in a bottle and then shake your whiskey with the smoke, and then just make the whole whiskey taste like more smoky. Like you can make a wild turkey taste like a $100 bottle of whiskey if you put the right kind of smoke in it. But Jace's dad, Shad Gamble, showed me how to do that a long time ago. But
that's awesome. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'd love to try a cocktail that way. I love cocktails. I really do, but only certain ones. I would like to kind of expand my knowledge. I feel like I know a decent amount about bourbon and beer. Always learning, of course, because we're wannabes over here. But my cocktail knowledge isn't really on point, so that's why I have you. But if you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Wannabe Critic. Here we review stuff. Right now we are reviewing Fast 5. And it has been... How long has it been since we sat down to do one of these, gentlemen? A month? A few weeks? 3 or 4 weeks?
Yeah, a few weeks, I think.
Has it been a month?
Yeah, I feel like it has. We try and keep it semi-consistent, right? It has been an absolute joy, by the way, to go through these movies with two super fans, of the series. Well, semi-super fans, I would say. I feel like it comes from a place of, we grew up with these movies. I feel like we're kind of on the same wavelengths with these movies. A lot of the times I've had separate conversations with you guys, at different times about these movies, and man, I don't know about you guys, but this just keeps getting better and better. I mean, so I don't want to say too much. I don't know. I don't know. I can see the different reactions going on, but let's just get right into it. Get into the review, and just as we usually do, we usually just say if we like the movie or not, and then see what happens from there. So, Caleb, I'm gonna throw it to you, bro. Do you like this movie?
Yeah, I do. I'd have to say, if someone was to ask me what the perfect junk food movie is, like no nutritional value whatsoever, but just kind of tastes good in your mouth while also tasting perfectly unhealthy, I would say Fast 5. It is just I feel like if you were going to look up junk food movie in a dictionary, it would be this movie. Like that's what it is.
Okay.
But it's really, yeah, I like it. It's
you're
good.
sticking to the whole junk food thing, and I've thought about that quite a bit actually. You know, as I continue to watch these movies, and I don't remember where the conversation was, but it was one of those things of like we talked about. I feel like it was with you guys. You can eat so much junk food that you finally get accustomed to it, and like there's certain. It was with you guys, and then every once because I've talked about the hot pockets, right? You know, you just admit there's only so low you can go, but this is like really good junk food that never makes my stomach hurt. Kind of, I don't know. I feel like Mikey's about to dump on this movie. I can already tell, but really fast before I throw it to Mikey, I just want to let you guys know we are communicating via Zoom as usual. So if we ever have any technical difficulties or if we seem like we're having any hiccups or whatever, that's why. I meant to do that earlier, but like I said, we're wannabes here, so we'll just keep it going. And I'm really just filibustering because I don't want Mikey to dump on Fast Five. But Mikey, do you like do you like this movie?
I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Okay. But you're not going to say like you liked it.
I mean,
you son of a gun.
As a movie, I liked it. Yeah.
Okay.
But as a Fast and Furious movie, that's another thing.
Okay. So. Well, I'm gonna hold you to that. I want you to come back to that. Okay. Because I definitely want to hear what you have to say on that. So get that in the old noggin of how you're gonna approach that one.
I got plenty of notes, man.
Okay, good. I'm glad somebody takes notes around here. Because I don't. I had to burp. And I blew it away from the microphone because that's what you do whenever you're a podcaster. Anyways, I really enjoyed this movie. As Emma was watching it with me, and I feel like that's honestly kind of contributed to a little bit of my experience with these movies this time around because of her commentary and things that she would say. She'd be like, "What? Like, what's that? Like, what's going on?" Like she's doing her macrame and stuff, and I'm like, "Just watch the movie." But this might be the best time I think I've ever had with this movie. And I think this is leagues above the last one in so many ways. And I kind of want to, I don't want to give my full opinion of it right now, but let's just kind of, ease into it and I'll kind of explain myself as to why. One thing I want to talk about first off, the effects in this movie and the stunts, the car crashing is awesome. I'm like being able to organize the way all of these stunts are and like, if it's computer generated in some, I mean, obviously there's some of it's that's computer generated, but like when they're on the bridge at the end of the movie and the safe is crashing into all of those cars, that looked pretty dang real to me. And like each time, like I felt it in my heart. Each time a car would crash, I'm like, oh, there's another one. Oh, but it didn't feel like too much. I mean, do you kind of get what I'm saying, Caleb? Can I throw it to you?
Yeah, so I think this movie does a really good job of combining practical effects with CGI. Because I don't think it's too difficult to tell the CGI apart from the practical effects, which is definitely saying something when you compare it to Too Fast, Too Furious, or Tokyo Drift even. I mean, there's a big technology gap in between those movies, but it's definitely executed really, really well here. All the while, this movie has some of the most ridiculous stunts and like just physics breaking like stunts that obviously would never work. The pulling the safe with 2 Dodge Chargers
out of the wall
is the dumbest thing. And I feel like every scientist or kid that's even taking a physics class in high school is just no. But I mean, it doesn't take away from it being some really, really good action and a pretty great like heist chase scene that's just constantly throwing ridiculous things at you. And you never quite know what's going to happen next. And I think this movie does a really good job of making something that seems so stupid and so ridiculous and making you thoroughly like enjoy it and enjoy watching it.
I love everything you just said, Caleb, because the last movie kind of touched on it a little bit of like we aren't street racing anymore. That's not really what it, like, it's bigger than that, you know? And it's like, well, that's stupid. Street racing is stupid. Like, that is a dumb thing. And I mean, well, obviously it's not dumb, but, you know, to a whatever, you know, okay, boomer, it's stupid, right? And then it just keeps getting more and more stupid from here on out. And I feel like and Mikey, do you have anything you'd like to say about the effects before I move on to the next point? I mean, what do you think?
Well, I actually like some of the effects, like the practical effects they did, because like behind the scenes, like that safe, it's real for a good portion of that chase scene, because there's a truck that they converted to drive under the safe. It's basically a box with wheels. So there's a guy in there driving it attached to 2 other cars, like when they're going down that straight.
Really?
So I thought that was cool, but I was just, because I didn't expect that from a Fast and Furious movie, you know. But there's little things like that with this movie. I was like, that's pretty cool that they would take the time to do that, because they could have just CGI'd the entire thing, you know.
Yeah, no, and I feel like, you know, they did that with a couple of other movies, like the last movie and Too Fast, Too Furious. It's like, this is so stupid, you know?
Yeah.
And it really shows, you know, whenever you use practical effects and pyrotechnics with you know, with grace, how different that can be. Yeah. And I mean, it just seemed like it kind of hit the right thing, like the right formula in this movie of, okay, we've moved on from street racing, and the safe scene very much reminded me of the orchestrated cars in Too Fast, Too Furious.
That was orchestrated.
Yeah, man, that stuff was orchestrated. That's another thing I wanted to talk about is Vince. So the return of Vince, they introduced him very early on in the movie.
Yeah.
And I like that they did that. This felt like they could have ended the entire series with this movie. And I felt like this would have been a proper end, honestly, of tying up some loose ends and things like that. And it felt like, okay, like this is ridiculous, but this is the right way to do this, to end this. And I don't know, there's something about having Vince in this movie, and he plays the character almost identical. The character is very believable from what we saw earlier on in the series with the first movie. It seems like it is a very realistic, I use that term loosely, a very on-brand character development for Vince. Caleb, what did you think of Vince in this movie?
Yeah, I think he's a good character. I think it is good that they introduced him early, because I think what that's setting you up for is the introduction of all of these past characters that they're bringing back for like an Avengers style team up movie, which really that's kind of what this was. This is like the Avengers, but with Fast and Furious.
Yeah, like the B version of Avengers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I thought it was really good because they're just, you know, setting it up from the beginning. I thought that his character it was pretty interesting because you can tell that he's got a good heart, and you know he's part of the family, but he also does some really stupid and kind of selfish things, like, you know, planning out that whole heist and getting Mia, you know, putting Mia in danger, which Dom obviously wasn't happy about, and then, you know, almost, you know, coming back to steal the chip and all of that. But I think it all fits his character, and it was all very believable for his character and what we knew of him from all the way back in the first Fast and Furious movie. It was pretty incredible how they were able to continue that without, you know, really messing it up and making it seem so believable, despite there being such a long time period in between those two movies.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. Everything you just said. Mikey.
That's a point that I actually really like about this movie is Vince, because if you think about it, they kind of put him in what Brian's shoes pretty much from the first movie, and where he ended up, you know. I kind of like that because and then like immediately, like after he did that and he came back and was like, I'm sorry, I saved Mia, like, can I please, like, Brian was like, yeah, sure. And then Dom immediately accepted him back. I wouldn't have done that personally. I would have been like, bruh, but I can see the kind of like progression they were trying to do with the storytelling at that of of putting him in Brian's shoes and being forgiven and
Yeah.
like the callbacks to the first movie and stuff like that. I liked it.
Yeah. Go ahead, Caleb.
One thing, it's incredible how trusting Dom is of certain characters, almost like to a fault.
Yeah.
Such as, so the whole thing with Vince, but then jumping ahead a little bit, at the end where it's him and The Rock, and The Rock's like, okay, I'm giving you 24 hours. And he's like, but you have to leave the money with me. And then The Rock opens the vault and the money's gone. Spoiler alert. And they did the vault switch and the money's back at the warehouse. I mean, Dom was really trusting. The Rock knows where that warehouse is and where the money is, and could come and just be like, hey, you played me. Your 24 hours is up. But Dom is like super trusting that's not going to happen because they still kept everything in the warehouse.
Yeah.
It's just, he's incredibly trusting, not of the Rock or Hobbs, of Vince, of the Brazilian, chick, the cop, of all of these different people. And it never really comes back to hurt him, which is kind of hilarious.
Yeah. And I feel like, we talk about that. We've talked about this a couple of times on the show. Like, what makes Dominic Toretto, like, for lack of a better word, like, why is this guy a badass? I don't understand, and I feel like whenever we see Superman and Superman comics, like, it's Superman. Like, Superman is the guy. And I feel like that's what they try and do with Dominic Toretto. And I feel like there's even some symbolism between the two, because Superman very much will try and find the good in people. That's his thing. And 90% of the Superman comics you're going to read, stories you're going to experience, Superman is always looking for the good and always trusting people to a fault type thing. And same thing like whenever he invades the Brazilian cop's chateau and steals his necklace back. You know what I mean? Like, he's kind of idiotic a little bit in some ways of, you didn't really think this one through, did you? But then again, he's one of our heroes, so to speak. And, it is kind of interesting. Mikey, you're shaking your head no?
Why was she wearing the necklace?
Yeah.
Why was she wearing that at when they went to arrest him in front of everybody?
Yeah.
Why did they not have backup when they went to arrest?
My wife said the exact same thing.
Like, why would she wear, like, in what fantasy land, as Carter would say, would they wear
fantasy land?
That's the little MacGuffin that's going to tie them into a relationship where they end up together in the end.
Exactly.
That's the only thing that's tying them together.
That's exactly right. I was going to say, like, we know they end up together in the next couple movies. Don't kink shame anyone, all right, Mikey? Like, that's...
In no way would that work in the real world, because it's a necklace that he gave to a different woman that she found. She would immediately throw that thing away, dude. Like, this reminds you of Letty.
Yeah. I don't think so. Like, oh my God.
Exactly.
Yeah. No,
I mean,
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, she lives in the favelas. I mean, she's probably pretty poor, so maybe she just is like likes it for how valuable it might be. Maybe
she even
that's
said
like
it was like worth $20 though.
Yeah.
She even said like it wasn't worth money either. That's what I was just like. Yeah, never mind. Sorry for talking over
Mikey.
you, Caleb.
No, you're good.
It's a movie. It's a movie.
Imagination.
For kids. It's fair criticism. It's good. That's what we do here on the Wanna Be Critic. We need someone to point that stuff out. Because I'm certainly not going to do it on some occasions. But I get really burpy. You know what I mean? Like, I just get... You knew it was coming. You know I had to say it. We need to get that. We need to get that put on a T-shirt. Like me, like kind of like I get really burpy. You know what I mean? That whole. Okay, but riddle me this: does Dom feel more like Dom in this movie to you guys?
In the last movie?
Yes. Like, does he really? Okay.
I feel like it's laid on super, super thick. That this is the Dom of old, and he's has these values that he's gonna stick by, and it's laid on very thick to be very, very obvious to whoever the viewer is. because I do think there is like kind of a certain demographic of people that this is aimed towards or whatever. And I mean, this movie kind of knows what it is, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
So I think it's just like we're gonna lay this on super thick so that it's incredibly obvious. Like, this is Dom, this is his character, this is his values, and this is what makes him tick. Whereas in the first Fast and Furious, and even in Fast and Furious, the movie before this one, I think it was maybe a little bit more subtle.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I feel like we didn't get to see a ton of Dom in the last movie anyways, but here he's kind of front and center, you know, and I was like, as I'm watching him, especially in the opening sequence of him showing up in his car, very much, you know, kind of like elusive, like Bigfoot, shows up in his, you know, his Charger, and Vince is like, you know what I mean? And then they rob the train, right? And he shows up, and it's like, okay, this feels right, you know, and I felt it felt more true for me, honestly. But now we've had this new dynamic of Brian has proven himself. Brian has proven himself to be in the group, and he loves Mia, and he wants to stick to Mia, and he's doing all this stuff. And I liked seeing the dynamic. I liked seeing the dynamic of this weird tension between Brian and Dom always. Like, even whenever things are going good, like, there's just this very tension-filled chemistry that those two characters have. And I feel like that's what draws a lot of people to these movies, is those two relationships, especially with the symbolism at the end with the two cars, right? How do you guys feel that relationship works in this movie? We kind of talked about Dom. You can kind of go ahead, Caleb.
I like it a lot. I mean, one of my favorite scenes in this movie is when, you know, they found out that Mia's pregnant, and Dom and Brian are just outside, and they're talking about, you know, being a father, because, you know, obviously Brian has all this stuff racing through his head about being a father. And, you know, Brian asks Dom about his father, and Dom is relating all of these things. And that whole moment there, I think, is really, really good just for their relationship and kind of building up this like family bond. It's like become so much real for both of them, I think, there than it was any time before. And then, yeah, I mean, everything besides that, with Dom then throwing that drag race, you know, to give, you know, Brian the money, you know, because he's becoming the father and all of that. I think it's done really good. And their relationship, I think, really kind of takes a big step towards being like more like, you know, this close family in this movie.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And it is one, you know, I feel like, you know, and this is going to, you know, sorry if this is too real for any of you listeners or even for you guys, but I feel like, you know, they're basically going to become in-laws at some point. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to be that, you know, dynamic. And just we all have brother-in-laws here. And it's one of those things of like, you have a brother-in-law, don't you, Mikey?
Yeah, he's younger than me, so I was like, "Do I have a brother?"
Well, you have a
like,
couple.
oh, yeah.
You have a few brother-in-laws. Oh no, you don't. Well, yeah, you do, because your sisters are married to guys.
Oh yeah, I guess that makes them my brother-in-law.
Yeah, brother-in-laws.
Yeah, I have a lot of. Never mind.
Yeah, we're not gonna go there. If you have any type of relationship, or you're attempting to have any type of relationship with your in-law, your brother-in-law, it's like, you obviously have care for this person, you know what I mean? But it's never going to be this thing of like, oh my God, we're best friends and let's go do this stuff. It's kind of like, sup, you know what I mean? And that's kind of the vibe I get from Brian and Dom, you know, of very much this thing of like, just kind of from afar, like they know what's up, you know what I mean? And go ahead, Caleb.
No, I was just going to say, I think the best that you can ever do as being brother-in-laws is doing and hosting a podcast together.
There you go. Or robbing trains of multi-million-dollar cars. Yeah, well said. But, you know, I feel like, you know, you guys get what I'm trying to say there. And I feel like they have that relationship kind of on lock, like with the way they told that story in this movie. And I really liked that. I've always liked that dynamic. We've had that since the first movie, and it feels good. Mikey, go ahead. You were shaking your head. You obviously had something to say. You had some sort of
I was just like, well, Caleb obviously loves you more. But brother-in-law. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I kind of have I struggle with their Dom and Brian's relationship. I really did like it in this one. I liked the father scene like Caleb was talking about, and especially the drag scene. because I love seeing Brian's face, like when he's like,
Oh,
he did not throw the
Oh yeah.
no, he didn't.
Yeah, because it's literally like he is like literally.
Yeah, he's like so sad. He's like, "Are you serious?"
Yeah.
It's like it reminds me of Jace, kind
Yeah.
of. Like, no, but
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. Like I enjoyed it more than I thought because I don't know. There was something about it in the last movie where I was just like, I don't believe it.
Yeah.
You know, but like this one, it felt more genuine because they had weight, they had story, especially because Mia was pregnant, and like it felt more relatable,
Genuine.
you know?
Yeah, more genuine. And I feel like in the last movie, like Brian's, I feel like we didn't really get a lot of time to kind of develop Brian's character in the last movie because he's obviously conflicted, but he's not really on screen that much.
I feel like they did Brian more than they did Dom in the last one.
Yeah,
personally.
no, that's fair, and that's just goes to show I've slept since then, to quote Mikey, and I don't remember that movie. I've forgotten about it, and I just all that guess what's sticking in my mind about Fast and Furious? All the things that I don't like about it.
Yeah, that's Fast and Furious.
Dwight, man, Dwight.
Dwight likes feet.
Dwight likes Exactly.
Oh.
Dwight talks about himself in the third person like a psychopath.
Dwight never touched that stuff. Dwight has now. Okay, I want to talk about a big part of this movie. Really, I'm going to gloss over something else really fast. First of all, yet again, we have a very lackluster bad guy. Hobbs is really the bad guy, quote unquote, for a good portion of this movie. But then we have like a second bad guy come in. It's like, no, he's the real bad guy. You know what I mean? And we know that Reyes is, the guy that's kind of. But again, it's another thing of this guy intimidates me more than Braga intimidated me. But still, I'm like, doesn't really do anything for me. I'm more scared of Hobbs. Why is The Rock always sweating? In every single scene, why is he
it's
like
Rio, dude?
Dude,
it's hot.
Brazil.
Yeah, I know, but everyone else is like, I mean, he's like slobbering and like he's like he's really getting into it, and I'm like the whole like when he's chasing Dom, he's like running on the rooftops, and at one point like he's like slobbering. I'm like, good God, this guy is like an animal? I mean, go ahead, Mikey.
Is it just me, or does anybody question if the goatee was real or not? Is that just me? It looks so fake.
It did.
Maybe it's because I've never seen him with hair. He probably could grow one, but I'm like,
it's real. It's real.
It doesn't look like you could grow that. Dude.
He's been in public. He's been in public with it, so it is.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
It's real.
All right.
It's real.
It just looked. Maybe it's because he was so drenched all the time. It was all shiny. It looked like fake hair.
Yeah. But Caleb, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, did anyone else feel like The Rock's dialogue was all like straight out of an '80s like action figure commercial?
Like G.I. Joe, because they were totally overlapping at the same time. Yeah. He plays the same dude from the G.I. Joe movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
He was in G.I. Joe, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was in one of
really?
Yeah.
He was?
Wrath of Cobra or something. Yeah.
But,
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say is like I like Hobbs, and I kind of like him more in the movies after this one, but I feel like watching it through this movie this time, he was by far the most jarring part. Him and Tyrese Gibson, like both of their their dialogue is just like so over the top.
Yeah,
and it's saying a lot in a movie that's already so over the top.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like so extra when I don't feel like it really, really had to be.
Yeah, I totally agree. Go ahead, Mikey.
What didn't you like about Tyrese Gibson?
He's just always saying something absolutely like just ridiculous. Like, go back and really listen to his dialogue, and you'll notice just how kind of like jarring it is. There's a couple of things like specifically that I'm thinking that I don't want to say out loud on this podcast.
I know what you're talking
but
about.
Some of it is like pretty like, okay, bro, did you really need to like say that? It's just like,
are you talking about the police station scene?
Not. No, there's a couple of other ones. There's it's kind of sprinkled throughout. I do like his relationship with Ludacris.
Yeah.
Like them two going back and forth, and they have a really good chemistry that I do like. But I think it's more of like Tyrese when he's trying to like
Be the
voice
funniest guy in the
himself
room.
in front of the whole group.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's rough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I feel like he tries to be. Who knows how much of his lines were ad-libbed, right? And I feel like he tries to be like the funniest guy in the room, you know, and it doesn't always land. I'm just kind of like, you're annoying. Like you had your time in Too Fast, Too Furious. Like you're just there. That's fine. That is funny though. And getting back to Hobbs, because I kind of want to talk about Hobbs and the team from Ghost Recon that backs him up, Ghost Recon Wildlands. Like that's pretty much who he has at his disposal. I'm like, who are these guys? Like, I mean,
If they weren't good at their job.
yeah, exactly. Like, man, more like the team from Ghost Recon Breakpoint for anyone who's played it out there, because that game is supposedly garbage. Shots fired. How do we feel about Hobbs? I mean, Caleb kind of told us he likes Hobbs, but how do we feel about Hobbs and his task force and like what they're doing? Mikey, I'm gonna throw it to you. Go for it,
Bro. So, no tactical. I mean, they may know where okay, what team would roll up to a group of hundreds of people, hundreds on the street of Rio? You like, from a tactical point of being a police officer, you should expect everybody to be armed. Why would they bring 10 guys to get like a group of another 10 people surrounded by hundreds of people with guns? I like immediately I saw that scene. I was just like, this would never go down ever. Like it took me out of it so fast. But like, because I understand the scene and I understand that it's Fast and Furious, but I mean, come on, like,
yeah.
what? Why?
Because it'd be too easy to just snipe. It'd be too easy to just snipe
Exactly.
Dom and Brian from a mile away. Like it's like, oh well, they
Yeah.
just snipe them, and it's like that kind of helps me. It's like
Roll credits.
Yeah, they could. Yeah, show's over, folks. Go home.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm the way home, pizza boy.
Yeah. Dang, street racers. Caleb, what do you have to say about that whole thing?
No, I think that tactically they are pretty bad at their jobs. I think that the whole concept of the idea of them bringing in basically special forces to track down a ex FBI agent and someone whose worst crime was beating a guy over the head with a wrench.
Right.
Yeah, it's just so extra. And they for whatever dumb reason, they keep emphasizing that's how dangerous these guys are, when in reality they really aren't that dangerous. It's so ridiculous. Yeah, they never really click. There's a scene specifically in the favelas. It's one of the first scenes with them where they're chasing Brian and Mia and Dom, and there's also all these bad guys. And there's a point where they just like all of them are on a rooftop.
Yes.
And they're not spread out at all. They're in a
like,
group. And then they're just raining down fire on all the bad guys. I'm like, why aren't you guys spread out looking for other people?
Yeah.
You guys probably want to attack. The only one I really actually like too, the only one of them is the black guy. Just because of his reaction to Hobbs telling him to rebuild the GT40.
Yeah.
The only reason I like it's the only one that shows real emotion.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hilarious. And that's the only one I really like out of all of them. He's the only one that's really memorable.
Yeah, the rest of them just it's just, like you said, it's just so extra. And like, go ahead, Mikey. Go ahead.
Why did they have to rebuild the entire car to find the SSD card was gone out of the stupid radio? What? You had to rebuild the entire car.
What are the chances too that they know how to rebuild a Ford GT40?
Yes.
Like these are tactical guys that spend their whole lives in the military and they know how to rebuild like this super exotic rare car.
And perfectly wire in an entire radio system into that car and not know that the SSD card was gone. On top of that.
Also, Wouldn't that be like the first thing that you're looking for? Like, oh, they needed this car for something. I wonder what. Well, there's this radio thing that goes in there.
It's a shame to put that on a classic.
Unless there's a bomb in the car that's missing or something dumb.
The tailpipe's gone. Could it be obvious? Like what?
Oh my god. Oh my god. It is there's so many things. It's like, what? My thing is like, okay, going back to Dom and Brian, these two guys that kind of did this thing, shouldn't the cop lady that knows everything about Reyes be like, hey, why don't we go after Reyes and not these guys? They seem like good guys. Like, they didn't really do anything. He's like, bark, bark, bark. Like, no, bark, bark. No, I don't. Their names got on my desk. It's a shame to put that on a classic. Like, I feel like The Rock is just like he's glorified Hank Hill.
Bobby. Samoan Hank Hill.
Yeah, Samoan Hank Hill. He's like, I thought so, boy. Oh my god. Okay. The fight scene between The Rock and Dom, or Vin Diesel. Do we buy it? For 1 second. Okay, two questions. Do we buy it? And even though we don't buy it, does it look cool? Caleb.
No, we don't buy it. I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, it looks fine. Like, it looks fine. I remember going to watch this movie with my dad, and my dad talking about how when he was growing up, him and his brothers would always have these conversations about famous actors getting into a fight and who would win. And it was always hypothetical. And then him talking about how, like, man, The Rock and Vin Diesel going up against each other in a fight. That's like one of those hypothetical scenarios, like from when he was childhood. So there's like an appeal to it in that. But what's so ridiculous about this fight is that since both of these actors have such big egos, they have it in their contracts that they can never lose a fight on screen. And they can never have even like the idea that they lost something. So for every punch, the other person gets a punch in this fight. So it's like perfectly even the whole time. If one guy gets thrown through glass, the other guy has to get thrown through glass. Or if one guy gets thrown through a wall, the other guy has to get thrown through a wall. And if you watch the fight knowing that, you can see that where it's just like they had to choreograph it so perfectly so that it was perfectly even fight.
Is that a thing?
And so that neither of these actors had their feelings hurt. It's so ridiculous.
Is that real? That's really in their contract.
Yes.
Oh my god. That is amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous.
Knowing that, I can't even look at it the same way because I'm like, the whole time I'm watching it, I'm like, man, they're really going toe to toe. Like, look at them go. This seems like it's pretty even. It's like the first time I watched Alien versus Predator. I'm like, dang.
It's pretty even.
It was pretty cool. Yeah, it's like, man, they're tit for tat every single time. That's why. There we go. Well, okay. So, Mikey, does this part do anything for you? Especially with the wrench. Like, does that do anything for you?
No.
Okay, there we go. Let's talk about... Okay, here's another thing. Here's another thing. So you're telling me the whole reason that Hobbs is there, he knows Reyes is a thing. The whole time he's there, he chooses to side with the guy he's supposed to bring in just to get revenge. Whenever they train you to literally, like, no military anyone would ever do that. Be like, well, my whole team got wiped out and I was the only one alive. It's like, yeah, you're lucky. Holy crap. You don't go up and like try, like, The Rock obviously has other things to live for other than his team, because we learn later he has a daughter, he has all these things. Can somebody help, like, walk me through that a little bit? Mikey, go for it, please. Your reaction is amusing.
What? Where do you want me to start?
Just start talking, man. Just start talking. I want to laugh again.
Like, I don't even know. Like I just don't get. Why can't they just have one bad guy?
Yeah.
Why can't they just focus like all their attention on like this is a good guy, this is a bad guy, there's a team, this is the bad guy's team, fight. Like they always have to have the guy that's gonna turn good at the end
Yeah.
or join the team.
Yeah.
And like because that's in every from now on that's almost every Fast and Furious movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't understand it,
Well,
which is fine. It from a popcorn movie, like from a blockbuster movie standpoint, I understand it, but like, come on, like,
Yeah.
but also the formula works, obviously.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, you know, we are not necessarily saying that these things aren't enjoyable in the moment and that we can, you know, can't enjoy them, whatever. We have to talk about these moments. You have to have this thing of like, okay, this doesn't make any freaking sense. And Mikey's absolutely right. In every single iteration going forward, Hobbs is now part of the team, basically, and we know in the plot of the next movie, he's like, all right, you're going to work for me, or else I'm going to bring you in, and they get full immunity, surprise, at the end of the movie, whatever, we'll talk about it. Then, and the bad guy is Jason Statham in the next one, correct?
Yep.
No, that's the 7th one. The 6th one is Jason Statham's brother.
Okay, gotcha.
Oh my god, I forgot about that guy. Yeah. that is the different one though. That to be honest though, that is different. But
after that, Jason Statham in the next one, Fast 8, like he joins the team. So it's like, you know, it
and then becomes a superhero.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, Mikey, obviously the formula works. And from this point on, it starts to just get an automatic pass, I guess. Of like, well, yeah, it's Fast and the Furious. It's like watching wrestling. You know it's fake. Like, you know it's like
Dude, that's all real. That's all.
You're not gonna pull some glass out of your tarts and grind it in my forehead, are you? But that's kind of what I think of whenever I think of these movies. Is like wrestling gets a pass because it's entertainment, like all these crazy things. And to the point of the, you know, this movie is like, is Fast and Furious absolutely ridiculous? Yes, we know it is. The stunts are well coordinated. The practical use of effects is well done in a lot of areas. Yes, that has to be kind of over the top to kind of, you know, like, I guess, I wonder how many of these movies, like, actually the CGI is kind of, it's like a test. Like, okay, let's see how this looks. You know, let's see how this looks on the big screen. Let's see, you know, let's see what it does type thing. I truly believe that that's a thing. But from here on out, it just, for me, I just kind of stop. I don't want to say I stopped caring. There's certain parts the majority of it I don't care about. There's a handful of things that are sprinkled in that I actually pay attention to. So they bring this team in, you know, this, like, for instance, here's another thing I want to talk about. They bring this team in to these very specific things, but I don't really, what makes Gal Gadot's character like the weapons, like the weapons specialist, Caleb?
He's hot.
Yeah. Is she though? Is she that hot? Because I'm watching that scene with Emma, and I'm like, whenever she goes up to Reyes, and I'm like, Emma's like, they should get Emma. This is Emma's words verbatim. They should have got her a hotter swimsuit. And I'm like, she's not even that hot. Like the hottest person in this movie is the Brazilian cop, like, hands down. And I even told Emma that, but like, holy crap, what makes Gal Gadot kind of the same thing? What makes Vin Diesel like this BA? Why is Gal Gadot just like hot? Like, she's I don't understand it. Can somebody help me? Why is Gal Gadot in this movie? She's not that hot.
I mean, I think she's fine. And I think that the majority of guys, especially like young guys, would say that she's
fine.
Easy now. No, I don't know, but like, whatever. Do
you mean she's fine or she's fine?
She's fine.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Fine.
Fine. No, I mean, they got her from the last movie, and so there's obviously continuity there, and I mean, it's a good excuse. I thought it was interesting. She's talking in that scene where she goes up to Reyes. She's talking with Han about her past and about how she was in like Mossad. So she's Israeli, which is kind of actually true because she is like Gal Gadot is actually Israeli, and she actually spent time in the military before she ever like became an actress, which is kind of interesting. So she kind of, it's funny how she carries in that background like from her real life into this movie. But yeah, it is kind of an interesting character. I will say she looks better as Wonder Woman than she does in this movie.
That's exactly what I said to Emma. I was like, yeah. I don't understand the Gadot craze. I don't get it. I never have. I've never understood what the big deal is. She's pretty one-dimensional as far as acting goes. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't understand it. But the team that they bring in, it's like, it felt like they were just bringing them in for the sake of bringing them in. It feels like they just kind of brought them. I don't know. The team kind of felt unnecessary in some ways a little bit. Like
the Avengers, bro.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. That's true.
They could have easily did it with like 2 dudes and 1. They could have did it with 2 extra guys. Like literally everything.
Yeah.
Like
pretty much.
They could have used Mia for everything else. Well, she's pregnant, but still, she's not pregnant yet. Like, come on.
It is hilarious when they're listing through like all the guys they need for the heist, and you're just it's so ridiculous. My favorite part is when we need a chameleon, somebody that can blend into anywhere. And I love Han.
Yeah.
But their guy to be the chameleon who can blend into anywhere in Brazil.
Yeah.
Is the Asian dude. That obviously stands out. I mean, they might as well have made like Tyrese Gibson be that guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they have 2 Hispanic people on their team.
Right?
But they could have
chameleons
for that.
Bro.
Wild.
What? Okay. I know this has nothing to... Okay, kind of does. What intelligence agency would not flag everybody that they know is involved with the person before they take international flights?
Yeah.
How does that not show up on your radar? And they're like, oh, yeah, by the way, all these people are here right now.
Yeah.
Not beforehand. They don't stop them at the airport.
This whole movie is a really bad look at Brazil as a country. From their law enforcement all being corrupt, from them basically being run by a drug cartel to the favelas and that whole like nonsense.
Yeah.
I don't know how Brazil was like, oh yeah, we're cool with this. No problem. Like, come to Rio. It's beautiful.
They're like,
and this movie reflects so poorly on it.
They're like, what? They're like watching and they're like, man, this movie sucks. They're really mean to us. And then as soon as Vin Diesel goes, this is Brazil, everyone in the theater's like, yeah, like, yeah, the redeeming quality. Yeah, exactly. Like, just like tearing everything apart. I do have to make a quick note really fast. Me and Emma talked about this. We did a guy and his wife the other day. And the show, by the way, that's a show for anyone who doesn't know. You can go check it out at any podcast services. A Guy and His Wife, as well as Game Club and Storytime. Anyways, quick plug there. We were watching The Incredible Hulk, reviewing it. Holy crap, that movie's horrible.
Is it?
It's so bad.
Is that the first one or the second?
The second one. It is just don't even waste your time.
I'm gonna watch it.
All right. It's not that bad.
Oh, speak of the devil. Emma just texted me. Hey. I want lots of tacos and lots of bean burritos.
What kind of tacos? Beef?
Chicken, shredded chicken.
Okay.
Soft tacos, please. Thank you. That's staying in the podcast, just so you guys know. Literally, my beautiful wife, Emma, by the way, at the other part of A Guy and His Wife that I just mentioned. Say hi, Emma.
Hi.
Say you love podcasting.
I love
Say it now! All right. God bless her. So, literally, that scene where they're running in the favelas. Wow, did you guys hear that? That's kind of weird. That came through my throat just then. Anyways.
Where if you say you get burpy, I'm going to
come to your house. I get a little burpy. Anyways, Incredible Hulk. Came out in 2008. The beginning of that movie, like the first third of that movie is all in Brazil, in the favelas. Mm-hmm. There is a yes, Edward Norton. He's trying to like he's communicating with Mr. Blue. He's trying to find a cure while he's in Brazil. Yeah, you just need to watch it. Anyways, whenever the intelligence people, like not the intelligence, the military come for him, that exact same thing happens. He's running on the rooftops, like jumping through stuff, and I'm like, wait a tick. Where have I seen this before? And I was like, oh my God, Fast 5 totally ripped off the Incredible Hulk. It's the exact same thing, literally.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, though, running through the favelas has been in many movies by now. I'm pretty sure. I've seen it in several none that come to my mind, but I can see it in my mind where it's not Fast and Furious and it's not Incredible Hulk either.
I think it is. I think it's one of those things that's becoming cliche.
Yeah.
Running through the favelas. One little note on the running through the favelas scene. Those henchmen guys, like the bad guys, are the worst shots I've ever seen. Like stormtrooper level of bad shots.
Yeah.
Like literally point blank range and just spraying bullets, and they can't hit the broadside of a barn.
Yeah.
It's legitimately frustrating to watch.
It was kind of hilarious. I saw this meme the other day. It kind of reminds me of what you're saying. And there's this girl holding a gun, and the stock is like on her shoulder, and she's like holding it with one hand, kind of like this, but she's not supporting. And the meme just said, "Oh, honey, I guess you'll be a pirate." And that's very much like just very disposable, just like red shirts, like the sake of people being there, no idea how to use a weapon supposedly. And I mean, Reyes would probably, Reyes is sitting at his desk thinking like, oh my God, what do I pay these guys for? Like, they can't hit anything. I definitely know what you're saying, Caleb. Like, just why? Anything to make the heroes win, I guess, But here's the thing. Before I move on to this, before we move on to the end of this review, is there anything you guys want to bring out before we wrap this thing? Go ahead, Mikey. Oh, wait. That thing you were talking about, at the beginning of the show, I want you to kind of talk about that. Do you remember what it was?
What I was talking about at the beginning of the show?
You were like, I got a lot to say, and I was like, all right, well, I want you to. You said you don't like this as a Fast and Furious movie, but you like this as a movie?
Yeah, I could see this being as like a block. Like you could probably take all the characters out of it and put in a character and just say these guys are on the run, and introduce new characters and be like, oh yeah, this is their team. Like this just feels like a cheap Ocean's 11 movie.
Yeah, that's well said.
In a way, but I don't know. Like what was that movie that came out a while ago? Were they Hurricane Heist?
Yeah.
That's kind of what like along the line. I've never seen it, but I'm just like that's probably like Fast 5.
Produced by the same people who make Fast and Furious.
Probably. Is it really?
Yes, it's the exact same.
That makes sense. See, that makes sense.
That adds up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, but most of the stuff that I had was like kind of nitpicky. Like at first I was like they wouldn't survive that cliff jump.
Yeah. No.
But I guess like cliff divers do like 150 feet and like are fine. But there's also like the thing of like if this is the car and they're going 70 miles an hour and then they're also hitting the speed, like I don't know, I bet they would have died. But then okay, my first nitpick of the movie. When does Brian O'Connor become a Jedi Ninja Master and can kick people's guns and make them shoot directly in about an inch space and make people's handcuffs fall off? First thing of the movie, I was like, are you serious? Like, I got past the train scene. I was like, okay, yeah, that's a lot of destruction. But then he's like, no! And he just shoots his handcuffs right off. I was like, okay, so this is that. It's a Fast and Furious movie, but that was a big one for me. And then the bathroom scene. Moose, settle down, dude.
Oh, the explosives?
No, they had a sawzall and a chisel to get through that wall. If you're watching closely, through about 2 feet of concrete. And they used the sawzall to cut the drywall for some reason, like that's gonna matter. And they made it seem like they chiseled through perfect square of 2 feet of concrete with like hammers. I was just like, oh my gosh. Those are the only things that stood out to me that I had big problems with.
Okay.
But great movie, guys.
Can I make another nitpick about that specific scene?
Go.
Yeah.
Just go,
So-
man.
They do that with the chisel and the sawzall, and then they just
Yeah.
leave it and walk out, and no one
Right.
says anything.
Yeah.
How inept are these cops?
Yeah.
Like, what the crap?
Yeah. And I want to know.
It doesn't-
I want to know what happened to that guy after he had an enema by a bunch of people. Like, he's got to have some sort of disease now.
Yes, Rona.
Like, that's
Rona, is that you?
yeah, right. Like, he's not gonna be healthy in like a couple hours for sure.
That guy's prostate is in a billion pieces.
Right, dude. I was like, ooh, and he just walks out. He's like, oh god.
He's
I
like,
got the poo on me.
oh my god. Oh my god.
man.
Oh, hold on. Oh, I'm getting a FaceTime call from one Natty Red. Let's see what, hold on one second. Natty Red, how are you?
Ooh.
Hi, are you busy?
You're on the Wannabe Critic podcast, so say hello. She's made her debut. There you go. You sure are. I will give you a call back as soon as I am done recording here. Sound good?
Thanks, Fox.
All right, later.
Bye.
So that is Natty Red. We are doing some. I'm doing some work for her on an upcoming project that she's working on. She's recruited me. Otherwise, anyways, that's neither here nor there. Dude, that whole scene though, like, he's like, "Rrr," like he just kind of pulls up his pants and
Yeah.
just kind of like
He goes
trots
back to
off.
work.
Yeah, no,
I can't
totally.
believe what just happened to me in there.
Yeah, and he's like, he comes back. Did I think about like we had this guy that worked with us, Isai? Could you imagine if that happened to Isai? He comes back, he's like, Bato, did you know what happened to me just then? Like, oh my god,
Home.
Bato, I'm sick. Oh my god.
I think I'm dying.
Oh, holy crap. We can obviously, I think that's part of the fun is talking about the nitpicky things about this movie and just really trying to nitpick it to death. Because at the end of the day, but here's the thing, Caleb, do you have anything that you'd like to say to kind of,
No, I do think, nitpicking this movie is so much fun because there is so much like to nitpick and just so much logic that's kind of just thrown out the window. But overall, this movie is incredibly entertaining, and I like this movie a lot. And it has so much rewatchability that the last movie does not have.
Yes.
And I do like all the characters. I like the whole family thing because you're really starting to get the feel not only just for Dom, Mia, and Brian, but just for all of them together. They're starting to become a team.
Yes.
And you kind of see that, and it plays a bigger part in the next few movies. And this is really setting it up, those next few movies. And yeah, I just really, really like this movie and I don't know, it's just such a fun ride. I mean, it's crazy and ridiculous, but it's a fun ride.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good way to kind of say it is. It is entertaining. It is. And we talk about, we want our heroes to succeed. We want the good guys to win. We have seen that there is ways to get the good guys to win that have more thought put into this has to make sense this way. And it's like, Justin Lin, everyone's approaching him was like, hey, well, what about this? And he's like, no, that's fine. Don't worry about it. And we're like, but this is a pretty glaring flaw. No, it's fine. Like, people will eat it up. It's great. Whereas you think about someone like Jon Favreau writing something and, already presents something near perfect to a director. And, it's like you kind of have one and the same mind on it. You know what I mean? And I feel like there might be on the production side, probably some crossed hairs, of maybe not everyone is kind of on the same agenda, so to speak. So, the writers present something to Justin and he's like, no, I don't think so. Like, we're going to do it this way. We're going to do it my way instead, instead of making this team effort. And what's crazy, though, is that it works. And maybe that's why Justin Lin is like, no, we don't want this to make too much sense, because then at this point you lose continuity. If one is so off the rails and then you can't ever go back to grounding it, it's already evolved to this other thing. It's like, okay, how can we make this the biggest thing ever? And to do that, you have to overlook simple things like physics, So, and I stand by what I said. I feel like this formula, because I really feel like this movie is whenever kind of the start of when things start getting really, really, really ridiculous. but this was kind of like the first big thing that they did with the safe, right? Of, okay, this is still not believable, but it's kind of in the same realm as the car coordination scene, you know, from Too Fast, Too Furious, like I said before. I wish they would have ended the series here. Personally. I feel like it's a good way to end it, especially, you know, the race at the end and how stylistically in the credits, I'm watching this movie, and by the way, I had Emma totally convinced that Letty was still dead through this whole time, the past couple months. And Emma's like, what? Like, she's dead, you know? So it wraps up, and I know the end credit scene is coming. And my experience, I'm like, I had a great time with this movie, whatever. But whenever that end credit scene shows up, I'm not excited. I'm like, okay, you know, it's just, the more I think about it, the more I'm kind of like, it means more. It would have meant more if Letty would have just stayed dead to me, I think. And I think that would have been a good way to kind of wrap it up. It's like you had these people that meant something to Dom, Vince, and Letty, and they're gone, you know. But there's still a saving grace because, you know, Mia and Brian, that's like starting on a new leaf, you know what I mean? And Dom has maybe found some happiness and some peace, but they can't just leave it alone, you know? So I think that might be my biggest thing with this movie is I wish it would have just stopped here. There is a part of me that does like the over-the-top action to come in the next movies, but this is whenever it really stops feeling genuine, unless I'm remembering wrong, which we'll get into that, you know, in the next couple of episodes. But that's kind of my summation of how how I feel about this movie. I'm kind of with you, Caleb. I like this movie. I really do. I think I could. This is up there. It probably would go the first one, Tokyo Drift, and then this one for me. Top 3 so far. But Caleb, what are your kind of your final, you know, thoughts about this movie and kind of summing up like a quick review, so to speak?
Yeah, quick review. I mean, it's action-packed, ridiculous. Everything that you think a car shouldn't be able to do, it probably does. Crazy characters, like family. I don't know. It's ridiculous. Like, just in every way, it's ridiculous. And it's also kind of hilarious to like sit down and critically review. But overall, I think it's a great movie.
Well said. Mikey?
Meh.
All right.
So
I feel like that's well-rounded. We have the trifecta here of, you know, like it's good. It's a good circle.
Unlike, like you said, you think they should have ended it here. I think they should have ended it on the last one.
Really?
Personally, yeah. Because I mean, like for story's sake, yeah, I think they should have ended it on the last one.
Yeah. I mean, I guess they could have. They could have ended it in the last one, but you know, that's the thing. You know, it's like, oh, they bailed Dom out, because then they're kind of hearkening back to that original, you know, we're chasing him through the thing. And yeah, I could see that. This one has a bigger impact on me, I think. And I think it probably because there's just the right amount of pieces involved, and some of them are pawns, some of them are kind of throwaway, but the ones that are supposed to matter like stick out pretty well for me. I feel like that's why it might have a bigger impact, and I like this one way more than I like Fast and Furious. You know, whatever, but
the first one?
Fast and Furious, the last one we just watched.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Dude, they need to come up with better names.
Yeah, no. Very good.
So confusing.
Well, I feel like it's probably about time to give it a score. Mikey, I'm going to start with you, bro.
Okay. I think I gave the last one like a 7, I think. Taking into consideration all the things that cars should never be able to do but are done, kind of like what Caleb was saying, like drifting a STI and throwing a Corvette off a train. I'll probably give this one like a 6. I was gonna say like a 5.5, but I think a 6 is okay because I did enjoy some of the story.
Okay.
You know, and I did appreciate some of the callbacks, especially with Brian and Dom.
So you like the last one more than this one?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
The last one wasn't good either. But
Right.
if I
on.
had to give it a rating, that's what I'd give it.
Well, there you go. There you go. That's it. Spoken like a true wannabe. Caleb, what's your score?
So I'm gonna give it a 9. I mean,
Whoa.
yeah, I know that's high, but again, this is on Fast and Furious terms, not like greatest movies of all time terms. So it's a little different, but it's a really enjoyable, rewatchable, exciting movie. And I think when you break it down just to that, then I think it's perfectly fine. I mean, yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. Fair. I like that.
It's a lot. That's a lot higher than I thought you were going to rate it, Caleb.
Really?
Like a lot higher.
Man, I must have been like really, really critical earlier on. That's fantastic.
No, well, I feel like that these scores have just been kind of low overall. I don't think any of us have given any of these movies a high score since the first one.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think I gave the first one the highest score.
Yeah.
I thought I gave Tokyo Drift a fairly high score.
Yeah, I feel like I did too. I feel like I've been higher than you guys on.
We should write
occasions.
these down as we go so we can remember them.
Yeah, I keep on forgetting. All right, Mikey, I'm gonna go ahead and delegate that to you. So you write down everybody's scores. Go ahead. So Mikey's a 6. You said 6, Mikey? 6.5?
Yep. All
right, and Caleb's at a 9. As usual, or not as usual, but as most times, I'm actually meeting you guys somewhere in the middle. I'm gonna go an 8 out of 10. I think it knows what it is. It serves that purpose pretty well. There are so many things to pick apart in this one.
Yeah.
There's things to pick apart in all of them, obviously, but I feel like there's more tiny things in this one than in most of the movies before this. And, just kind of certain things that you guys even brought out. I was going to give it, I kind of bounced around with my score as we were doing this review, but I feel like 8 is perfectly fair because I do think it's very entertaining. It's very rewatchable. And I honestly think the acting is probably the best in this one. I feel like the performances are the truest to the characters we've seen so far. Letty, I'm sorry. Michelle Rodriguez, God bless you, but you are not a good actor, and you ruin a lot of the scenes you're in from here on out. Tyrese Gibson is Tyrese Gibson. The jarring stuff that Tyrese says, but that's who he is as a character. It's his archetype, whatever. I really like Hobbs in this movie. I really do. I feel like he's a fitting kind of not anti-hero, but kind of fitting buffer. I don't like the bad guy as usual. I think it's good. I think this is a good movie, a good popcorn movie. So there's that. Pretty well-rounded scores as per usual. It'll be interesting to see what we think of the next Fast and Furious movie, Fast and Furious 6. We're left with a little stinger at the end of this movie that Letty is indeed alive in Berlin doing something. And that will unfold in the next episode as we review Fast and Furious 6. So, gentlemen, thank you as usual. Oh, Mikey, go ahead. Mikey's giving me the finger.
Unrelated. I'll tell you after the show.
Oh, okay. Are you sure? Are you sure you don't want to say it right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's literally completely unrelated.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Cool beans. Don't put it. Don't lose it.
Okay.
Well, gentlemen, thank you very much again for your time. I really appreciate it. I feel like each of these episodes are getting better and better, and it's nice to kind of take this journey with you guys through these movies, through a franchise that is it's kind of a conflicting franchise for all of us, I think, because there's things that we really like about it and things that we don't really like about it, and I hope by the end of this we have good things to say about the franchise as a whole. And either way, though, it's been fun to go through with you guys, and look forward to more projects in the future. It's worth letting the listeners know that this has been the Wannabe Critic podcast, where we review things here. That's what we like to do. Our opinions are our own. We just kind of say things as they, just giving our thoughts, just like you. Whenever you go to the theater, you talk with your friends. That's the whole purpose of this. You listen to it, you yell in your car, you nod your head in your car, or whatever. You're either agreeing or you're yelling at us all the time, and that makes us happy. If you want to argue with us for real, please don't do that. You can email us at geeklybiweekly1@gmail.com, or find us on any social media platform at The Wannabe Critic. Yes, I'm keeping the Geekly Biweekly password, and that's Geekly Biweekly 1 with like the number 1, just so you know.
That's your password?
No, that's the email address. Did I say password?
Okay.
I didn't mean that.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I was like, good to know.
Yeah. You can email us.
Changing that afterwards.
You can email us there at that, and you can find us on all the social media. It's worth noting that June 15th, we are launching 3 new podcast feeds. We are launching Game Club, which is a movie in which myself and one other guest, for now, we'll be reviewing a video game for up to 4 episodes, and before we give our final review, because here's the deal: when you listen to a game on IGN, a game review on IGN or whoever or whatever thing, you're not getting the full experience of what they really thought. They're not having any real way to bounce any thoughts off of that unless you listen to the reviews on a podcast. So that's the whole goal, is to kind of give you that in-depth review, and obviously there'll be one-offs here and there. To kind of, if we have like a bigger group of people reviewing a shorter game, get kind of a bigger table discussion on that. So there's that. We're also launching Storytime, a fan fiction of sorts based narrative. It's going to be bi-weekly. And then also me and Emma, a guy and his wife. That has its own podcast feed. Stay tuned for more news regarding the Wannabe Critic and all its many projects. And as always, we love you. Caleb, where can they find you, bro? Do you want people to find you?
I mean, I guess people can try to find me. It's not that complicated. No, I think biggest thing, my Twitter handle is @ChiefNY18. Again, doesn't have anything to do with anything that we've talked about. But if you are interested in football, I guess you can check me out there. But yeah, that's literally basically it.
Well, I mean, you've had some episodes here and there. We kind of did a team up. You did your blog reading. You read your blog on the show, and those were nice to have on the show. That was fun.
Yeah.
So go follow him there. It's a good blog. Mikey, you still have no social media. You might want to get on that, bro. You might want to get on that.
Yeah.
Man.
But I did post a map to Google of where I live, so if you can find it, you can find me.
Just knock
There
on
you
his
go.
door.
That's not creepy at all. Just not he'll let you right in. He'll make you a cocktail. It'll be great.
Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Wannabe Critic podcast. We definitely appreciate your support, and we will see you guys next time. So thank you for tuning in, and thank you for preparing yourselves for a plethora of hot takes and potentially unpopular opinions. I'm Gabriel Fast. Caleb and Mikey, thank you for joining me again. Say goodbye.
See y'all.
Bye.